Hey everyone, welcome back to Rugged DIY. So we've been working on mudding the room now for quite a few weeks because I can only work on the room 1 day a week. And I'm to the point now where I actually want to start doing some sanding. I'll sand some of the areas down and then I'll come back over it and do any sort of touch-ups that I need with the mud to make sure that it's good. But I'm going to try to make this a short video because it's not really interesting to watch, 30 minutes of sanding. So there's two sanders that I like to use. For doing these small areas, I like to use this kind of sponge type sanding block because it's easy to manipulate, easy to hold, and you can kind of conform to the surface nicely with that. And I think just for doing those small areas that it's very useful. I believe that this is, I think this is like a 120 grit, something like that. So you don't need a really heavy grit for sanding down the patches. A 120, 200 grit, little sanding block will be good enough because all you're really gonna do with this, because if you did like I did, you didn't do real thick layers, all you're really doing is just touching up and smoothing out the mud so that you can come back over, put a little bit of primer on it and paint. Now for the larger areas like the access hatch, because it's a thicker amount of mud, you're gonna have some more variations to the surface because you did the multiple layers. I like to use one of these sanders, and it comes in various grits. This is also a lighter grit sanding screen. And with these, I'll do kind of the majority of the sanding with this over the large area, and then I'll come back over it and just use my hand as I kind of go over the area and use the smaller block to kind of, smooth everything out. And then after I've finished all of those layers, I'll come back and look over everything again, and that's when I'll come with some real thin layers of mud if I need to, if there's any bubbling areas that, that were revealed with the sanding, or if I found some divots, or if I sanded an area a little bit too much, whatever the case may be, then I'll come in with a real thin layer of mud and touch that up, and that's pretty much it. So I'll show a little bit of sanding of this area right here with the sanding block, and then I'll show you how I kind of sand over the large surface area with the screen sander, and that'll be it. I'm not going to keep a whole video of me just sanding this room because I think that'll be really boring. But we're almost done now with all of the preparation for the paint, and I'm thinking if not next weekend, the weekend after, we ought to be able to start putting up all of the base molding within the room, and then build the closet organizer, put the molding inside of the closet organizer, get all the primer paint done inside of the closet, paint the whole room, and finally we'll be able to get the carpet in and be done with the majority of the renovation. So that's the quick goal for today. Make this a quick video, and then I'll follow up with another video once I'm done with all the sanding. Okay, so when I'm sanding these little areas, or just sanding around the room in general, if you've got the ability, you've got a free hand, you've got a shop vac, you can really kind of cut down on the dust if you can hold a shop vac up to the area while you're sanding it. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do just this one little area. I'm not going to go and sand the whole wall for you, but you'll see with this one little area, the light little bit of sanding, and that should be a good enough example. Bring it a little closer. All right, a little bit of closer shot. Just gonna sand this. Okay, and that's pretty much it. It's not a real intense sanding because we went over it with thin layers, we scraped it. It doesn't really require a real heavy hand. Now, when I'm holding the sanding block, I'm not pressing really hard. I'm really just letting the sanding block do the work. And I'm not trying to press on either side. I'm trying to keep even distributed pressure on the sanding block so that I'm not getting any kind of valleys in the sanding. And that's it. It's pretty simple. It's nice and smooth right there now. And that's pretty much done. So I'll go over everything and do that. And you can see why that's not incredibly interesting. Now, after you're done sanding everything off, what I like to do is I'll take a shop cloth and wipe it all down and collect all of that dust that remains that wasn't picked up by the shop vac. And that way, when you come back later and do your painting, it's not going to have a bunch of dust inside of your paint. But you'll want to wipe down all of your area after you're done sanding to make sure that you don't have any dust particles left on the wall, otherwise that's really going to mess up your paint job. But pretty simple, and that's it as far as touching up these little areas. Next I'll show you the sanding around the access door because that's a larger area and I use the sanding screen, and that'll wrap up the video. Okay, I'm not going to sand the whole thing right now, but what I am just going to show you is how I would go about sanding it with the screen sander. So it's already pretty smooth because I've come over and scraped everything. There are a couple areas that I touched up that would need a little bit more scraping. But really all I'm doing here is just kind of smoothing out the transition. Again, not pressing really hard, even distribution, not pressing hard to the right or hard to the left, just kind of keeping it nice and centered. I kind of like to do more diagonal strokes and not circular. If you do circular strokes, you're gonna see that in the paint. Back and forth strokes, you'll really start to get lines that will be picked up by the eye. So, just kind of change your direction, diagonal strokes, and just feel your spot while you're standing so that you can see, how your work is progressing. You don't want to sand one area too much. Just go lightly over the whole thing, work your way around, and just the same kind of way that you layered the mud, you want to slowly work on the mud with the sander because you don't want to oversand because then it's just more work to come back and fix it. So take your time and gradually work your way over the surface, feeling the surface as you go. Use the vacuum, clean it up, wipe it down, and check to see your progress and see how it feels and looks. And that's pretty much it. So that's kind of sanding preparation. That's all I'm going to be doing today. Is just going through sanding over all of these surfaces and just making sure that I locate any of the areas that need to be touched up, so that after I get done with this initial layer of sanding that I'm going to do, that I can come back and touch up any low areas and mistakes, and hopefully again I can get to painting and get this done and move on to the next phase of the project. So thank you for coming and checking out this video. I know that my videos have been really long. I've put out a few videos that are over 30 minutes, an hour, and I know that the typical YouTube video is not necessarily that long, but if you're enjoying the videos, let me know. If you enjoy the shorter videos, I'd appreciate the comments to let me know what kind of content you guys like. If there's anything that you want me to go into more detail about, also let me know that. So thank you so much for coming and checking out this video on sanding preparation of the bedroom renovation. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe, share the video if you think it's useful, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.